So let's just get started. Let's get right into it. Welcome, Michael. Welcome, everyone, to the... I'm going to pray, I promise. I forgot like 3 or 4 episodes probably in a row. Did I pray with Warren? I don't think so. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, well, what episode is this? 20? Ooh, 20.
Number 20.
Wow. Praise God. Yeah, 1 year. That's crazy. Jeez. We've been here 1 year.
Yeah, you didn't tell me it was going to be this important of an episode. You came in your suit and it's the 20th.
I mean, hey, to be honest, I didn't know any of this until 5 seconds ago. So, you're in the same boat as I am. But let's do a quick prayer.
Absolutely.
Cool. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, we just ask for your providence and your blessing upon this podcast, and we ask for your Holy Spirit to come down upon us. Come, Holy Spirit. Lord, you know what we need in our lives. You know how much love we need from you. You know the circumstances in our lives that cause us to fret. And we ask that you just give us peace, give us clarity, give us wisdom in our lives, into the lives of our listeners, that in every circumstance they can find you and find peace in you. We ask for your holy blessing upon this podcast, that it might bear fruit, deepen our understanding of your will, and as always, Lord, give you great honor and glory. And we ask for this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get that hat off of you for prayer, but, I'm glad you respect it.
Sometimes I surprise people.
What do you mean?
I don't know. There's certain things where I'm just stubborn on. I don't know why, but it's like taking hats off and stuff like that. Like unless it's like prayer, I'm just kind of like walking around doing my own thing. And actually shoes too. Like I don't know why, but I get dressed and I just tend to leave everything on. And there's times where I've gone over to Bridget's house and I'll have my shoes on and everybody's looking at me like, are you going to stay a while or are you looking to go really quickly?
You get people who get really offended though when you wear, obviously like, I think it's different though when you have the whole get up, like the hat and the boots. People are like, okay, I respect that because he's going full send. Full send, yeah. But people get pretty pissed. If you came in my house with those boots on, my mom would probably be like,
Yeah, I mean, I try
clean,
to be
man.
aware. Yeah, they are. I keep them relatively clean. Try to get most of the muck off of them.
Yeah,
but yeah, I try to be aware of that because I do know there's some people that are in particular about having the shoes off. But yeah, normally I need to be made aware of that. I'm kind of oblivious with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, quick introduction, Michael, for you. So everyone, this is Michael Illig, good friend of mine. Been friends for, 2 years now? Something like that?
More. Yeah, I feel like it's been longer than that, yeah.
2 or 3 years? Jeez, time
Probably
flies.
around 3.
Yeah, we'll get into how we met and that little story.
Yeah.
But a brief intro for you, Michael. Currently works so you own your own business called the Resurrection Personal Fitness. You're from 84 PA. That's Washington area?
Yeah, Washington County. Most people know the lumber store.
Yeah, 84 Lumber.
Lumber store's named after the town, not the other way around.
Shout out Braden. His little brother works for 84 Lumber.
Yeah, shout out to Braden.
So, yeah, and then your business, Resurrection Personal Fitness, you started recently. But, just around training clients out of Amerifit in Mount Lebanon, PA. Resurrection Personal Fitness reshapes clients' perspectives on health so that they are capable of living out the life God intended them to live. You're also a campus minister at Washington and Jefferson College.
Yeah, that's a relatively new development. I wasn't even expecting to ever get into that venue, I guess, but from some encouragement from people around me and kind of like a little bit of a push from God, I ended up in that position, and it's just kind of funny how things come full circle. I always thought that I would be doing something to help kind of give back to the area I grew up in, but I never imagined it would be campus ministry. I thought it would maybe be like youth ministry or helping out with youth ministry in some way, but God always has different plans, it seems like.
Yeah. Was that always on your heart, though, to do some sort of ministry, whether it be youth ministry or in particular what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I guess we'll get into it in a little bit whenever we talk about my faith formation. But I had a really good opportunity at St. Vincent to go through faith formation that most people don't get to go through. And I always wanted to bring that to other youth, other young adults. And, I thought it might be in a small way where like I just kind of would volunteer and do it like you kind of mentioned at a youth ministry for high schoolers in particular. But yeah, I think that God just had a bigger idea of like where he was going to take me with that. And, if you told me that'd be, I guess technically the term is restarting because it kind of was a campus ministry program that was not running 100% or full capacity for a good while. So I'm kind of rebooting it. Rebooting, haha. But yeah, I'm kind of rebooting the program and getting things going again there. And, it's a challenge that I wasn't expecting, but, I'm just kind of trusting that God put me there for a reason and that he's going to provide everything needed.
Amen, man. How's that been going so far?
It's been interesting. The space is very run down. If it was me, I probably would have condemned the space by now that the Newman Center's in. If anybody lives in Washington, it's just right on the corner of, I can't remember streets. I'm not very good at remembering streets,
right.
but it's literally right down the hill from the college. And on the top of the building, it literally says Newman Center. And yeah, the building has all kind of water damage on the inside of it. Looks pretty run down, and then on top of that, it looks like it was a storage center for about the past like 30 years or so. Like there was stuff I was pulling out of there that had 1980 like put on the labels.
Jeez.
And I was just like, holy cow, like this place needs to just gone through. We need a clean slate. So yeah, it's been interesting.
I feel like that's classic Pittsburgh, though. Like you have a lot of beautiful old structures, and then you just have a lot of old structures, like that have went through a lot and were built well. But at the end of the day, like they can't. Sometimes just crap happens, and the weather's terrible, and you just get old. Kind of, the whole Pittsburgh basement theme kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's just,
the whole Pittsburgh bathroom and stuff.
Yeah, our bathroom. Yeah, that's just how it is in Pittsburgh. You kind of are you renovating it or no, or are they?
So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. I think initially we're thinking just utilizing space on campus more. But there was some talk about moving it to a newer building or trying to relocate somewhere in the city. But rent's expensive these days. And
Everything runs expensive these days.
Yeah. And so we're trying to keep the budget geared towards things like seat conferences and actual events that we're going to be doing for the students. Anything that we can kind of keep out of that rent budget is going to be good for us. So, yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of ideas being kicked around, so we'll see where God takes it.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Well, let's get into your, I'd like to hear just a little bit about your upbringing. Kind of talk about your family a little bit. So you were born in 84, obviously.
Yeah.
You're the oldest of three siblings.
Three boys, yeah.
Three brothers, yeah. I met all your brothers finally, so they're a hoot. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, we, it was interesting. I just feel like in a lot of ways it was great. It kind of gives you a lot of grit. You probably know growing up with two brothers younger than you. And yeah, one older than you. So yeah, you get humbled pretty quickly when you grow up with brothers. You're never really in a position where you're really allowed to think too highly of yourself. So humility is kind of something that's ingrained in you. But it was also just really fun. We kind of had I jokingly call it a free range childhood. We had a pretty decent sized backyard. We were able to run around and get into all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Put a couple holes in my parents' drywall with bocce balls. Yep. And we got into a lot of things, but it was really fun and just really great family experience.
You grew up on land?
Yeah. So my grandma lived right next to us. And my parents built their house basically right next to my grandmother's. So Her father, my grandfather, great grandfather, sorry. Great grandfather. He basically had like a little farm going in 84 PA. The house that she grew up in actually used to just be a log cabin, but they did additions during World War II, and around that time they didn't have a lot of supplies. So they kind of just put things together with duct tape and baling twine, and of course there wasn't a lot of code. So it's funny, different parts of her house are just kind of slapped together.
Yeah.
But it's still like a really nice house. But then she graciously let my mom and dad build right next to her. And so, we kind of live on old farmland. It was 10 acres, maybe a little bit over 10. But everybody else, like right down the street, though, was basically related to us. We really felt like we could kind of just run around and do whatever.
Yeah. What were the challenges of being an oldest brother in your family dynamic? Besides, obviously, always being humbled because the younger brothers are amazing usually. So.
Yeah, well, they always want to play up, as you probably know, as Xavier. Whatever Xavier did, you had to do. So whatever I did, my younger brothers had to do. And I was kind of always looked at as, I guess, the standard. So whatever I said as the standard, my brothers were obviously going to try to exceed that. And it comes with pressure, but it also kind of comes with like a little bit of a sense of honor. But I think there's like some stuff that kind of got ingrained at me, being the oldest sibling. Like I've had some issues feeling like I couldn't make mistakes, and you just have that pressure to always be on top of things and always keep things together.
I found being an older sibling to exceptional like brothers, especially the younger ones. I'm like, you guys are just so much better than I was at that age.
Yeah.
But it's a cool thing to look back on, but it's also like you have to let little siblings like live their own lives and learn their own lessons as well, and let them learn from you, but at the same time learn for themselves, because I think there's a desire for an older brother to want to like nurture and foster younger brothers and make sure that they're not making the same mistakes you did, make sure that everything is staying in line. But at the same time, I've kind of noticed, hey, those little siblings are going to be great. They can make their own decisions. They'll probably make great decisions. They can learn from me, but they're their own person at the end of the day. And like the fact that we are close is already a gift. So
yeah, and that was actually something that I struggled with as an oldest sibling, was trying to communicate those mistakes and trying to help them learn. I think for at least the first part of our lives, trying to communicate to that the mistakes and trying to help my younger brothers learn, that was always a challenge for me. And of course, you don't want to see people around you that you love and are close to you make mistakes that you did, and to go through the same hurt. But like just what you said about them being able to make their own mistakes and learn their own lessons is, important. I really resonate with that. And it took a while for me to understand that. Thankfully now we're all good. We're all kind of unique, though. We're all kind of into our own stuff.
You guys very are. Yeah, you guys are all very different in a really beautiful way. But I think that's a good thing too. Little uniqueness is always good.
Yeah, I think it's actually really good. It shows how good my parents were in terms of allowing us to grow up to become who we were meant to be, and not necessarily trying to be an image of what they had for each of us. I feel like there's some families where they try to push their kids towards like being engineers or being like trying to push them towards like what they think success looks like. But yeah, my family, we were kind of able to just figure out what that meant for each other, for ourselves. And, my parents just did a really good job of allowing us to have that space.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Were your parents, so you were raised in the Catholic faith?
Yeah. So we were raised Catholic. I would say whenever we were kids, my mom was the big pillar of it. It was, really encouraging us in terms of prayer and that initial stage of faith formation. But it also was important to have a father that tried to live out a life of virtue the best he could, and imparted that on each of his sons. I think that striving for virtue and that striving for being better was something he really embedded in each of us. And even outside of faith-related things, like it's just something that's good to have, that strive for excellence. And ultimately, that's what virtue is just the strive for excellence, the strive for, I guess the Bible kind of says, be perfect as your Father is perfect, but to be as perfect as you possibly could be.
Mm-hmm. Were there ever any struggles growing up, like with your parents being the oldest?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my mom always said that my dad got a spitting image of himself in me in ways that he didn't necessarily like at the time. My brothers aren't as vocal as I tend to be. As you know, I tend to just kind of say things how they are, and I don't really sugarcoat things. And that's kind of how my dad was. And we butted heads a good bit whenever I was a kid. But, you know, you just kind of learn, and he actually was able to learn how to parent pretty well from that. He learned how to use humor instead of discipline sometimes, and kind of knowing, like, you know, when to use the humor and, you know, when to be like, okay, like you got to listen up. He kind of learned the balance of that. And I think it made our relationship really good later on. But yeah, initially it was, I think, tough for both me and my father trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So going into later in life, were you always into this? I wanted to preface this episode and bring Michael on particularly because you're obviously into fitness, and I kind of wanted to gauge this episode towards the element of fitness within, obviously masculinity it's important, but also femininity, like women working out and being healthy is super cool. And I think recently you starting your own company and your own gym, well, not your own gym, but
yeah, basically the way it's set up is I have my own personal training company.
Yeah.
I found a gym that's very gracious, allows me to train my clients out of there. They're a private gym, so they kind of get to make their own rules. It's not like a corporate gym where there's all this policy and red tape. I know the owner of the gym directly, so
that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, it's anything where it's more personable. It's always, I think, a lot more just better for everybody all around.
I have come to have quite the disdain for corporate gyms.
Yeah.
I just ended sorry, Crunch, but you know, I don't really care.
Well, I mean, I left them as an employee too, so
I knew you would have a problem with that about the Crunch. But Crunch is a great gym, but I just was like, for one, had the opportunity to work out at a gym right next to work for free. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. But Crunch just kept like charging me more money every year. And I'm just like, I just am like, come on, guys.
You felt like you were dealing with insurance at some point, instead of just like a regular gym.
Yeah, hey, I work in insurance, man. Be careful. We're the good people.
Don't want you to raise my premiums.
Be careful, I might. No, it's not my job. But corporate gyms just were not the move, and they're great. But I think it's really nice though that I'm sure your clients can attest to this, but having someone who actually knows them and is giving them a plan, and it's not just this, hey, you know, work out because I'm getting paid. It's, hey, work out, be healthy spiritually, be healthy mentally. And I'm sure you can, I mean, I kind of want to ask you this question, but when you have clients, do you ever have an opportunity to like speak to them on a deeper level in the gym? Or is it always just kind of cut and dry for the most part?
So, well, it depends how hard I'm working them that day, because you know, depending on how hard they're breathing, they might not be able to talk as well. But you know, just from working people in a personal space like that, you do get to know each client individually. You do get to know who they are as a person, and kind of as we're called as disciples. Whenever we have like an opportunity to kind of like embed a little bit of our faith and what our life looks like, you know, you kind of get to do that. I think whenever most of them got the invite to, you know, join my business as clients, the resurrection, it there's not a lot of other religions or cultures that use that idea as much as Christianity does, and particularly Catholicism. So I think they kind of understood that like there was a faith-based element to my life that I was incorporating into that. I just thought of something funny actually. Our wise mentor that we both share, he asked me kind of what I was going to name the business whenever I was starting to talk to him about it, and I was leaning towards Resurrection Personal Fitness. He's like, "You actually trying to communicate you're going to bring people back from the dead?" And I was like, "Not necessarily that, but for some people it might feel like they're getting brought back from the dead."
I mean, but that's a really cool name because it's some people really need to be brought back to the light, and sometimes fitness is the answer. Sometimes a spiritual journey is the answer. But I just am so, I'm so, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like enthralled by how fitness can change your perspective and faith.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go work out to get big. I'm going to go work out to change how I look. But it's I'm going to work out. I'm going to do this as a challenge to myself. And I found in my life when I personally challenge myself and do things that are uncomfortable, the rest of the day and the challenges that inevitably come from life are less hard. Like they're still very difficult, but you're not constantly seeking to conform to comfortability. You're more so in the mindset of, hey, I've already took like a step to challenge myself today. I know challenges are going to come, but that's okay, you know?
Yeah, and I've kind of always gone with the philosophy that your exterior really communicates your interior. So if you have exterior discipline, it's only going to help you with your spiritual life with the interior discipline we're called to have. I jokingly used to tell people, if you can't turn down a Twinkie each day, you're not going to be able to turn down all the nefarious stuff on your phone.
Yeah.
So, being in charge of the pathways to your body, your eyes, your mouth, your ears, being in charge of those things and really taking ownership of those things is really important for the spiritual life. And if you do that externally, interiorly, you're going to feel a big difference too. And working out and disciplining yourself with fitness is one of the ways you're kind of able to take charge of your body and to be able to discipline it.
When did you get into fitness? Like, when did it start really becoming a thing that you were like, oh, maybe I want to do this for a career. Maybe I really want to help people out with their fitness journey, or even, consequently their faith journey as well?
Yeah. So it's funny. I never really had like an idea of like marrying the faith and the fitness aspect. I played sports a lot growing up. I started playing soccer at 5. I think that was the first thing I started playing, and then just tried a lot of different sports from there. So eventually when I got into high school, of course, they have the mandatory lifting that the coaches prescribe for all the athletes. And, you got to be here at this time. And like, if you don't make the trainings and the workout times, and like they hold it against you in terms of like the tryouts and the playing time. So I initially was going based off of mandate.
What age were you during that? Like,
so
freshman, sophomore?
I was like 14, so I would have just been a freshman in high school. There were guys that I knew in school. They started lifting around middle school for football and stuff like that. And they would always tell me, oh, man, you got to start lifting because if you don't do that, then you're going to have weak muscles and the girls aren't going to like you. And knowing, I mean, you know me, when I hear messaging like that, I'm immediately like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't lift, but I did like my sit-ups and my push-ups and a lot of the core-based stuff starting out. But I didn't really get into it until high school. And I kind of started lifting weights for basketball training. And then I just found that it was really good for my mental health. Yeah, growing up, I struggled with anger, controlling my emotions. A lot of it coming from anxiety too. So it was like that combination of like anger and anxiety was really tough for me as a kid. But then whenever I started lifting, I found that it helped kind of curb that anger and that anxiety, and it helped me channel it into something. And sports kind of was always that avenue for me. But then I found that lifting was something else that really helped me do that as well. So even when I wasn't in season for sports, I continued lifting and really just kind of like working out my challenges in the gym. And I did that for the longest time until I really started getting more into my faith. So I like to say that that was kind of the precursor before like I really dove into my faith. But at the same time, I think that, like growing up Catholic, I could have been, more serious about my faith earlier on. But for me, the gym kind of was that placeholder until like I really got into my faith later in college.
When you say getting into your faith, like what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so for me, I'd never really understood the whole idea of praying whenever I was younger. Your typical CCD, I guess they have a different name for it now. I don't know what that is.
OCD.
OCD. They're putting an O in things now. OCIA, OCD.
It's a joke. It's a yoke. Sorry, continue.
But
sorry, man.
No, you're good, man. Sometimes you need
You gotta
a
keep it
reset.
light, you know?
You need a reset like that every once in a while. But yeah, like the idea of praying for me, I didn't really understand what that meant. Like you had your standardized prayers that you had to learn or else you would flunk whatever grade level you were in. And I was awful at memorizing. I don't know about you, but with tests and stuff, I couldn't memorize things. I would recall things better that we talked about in class. And if somebody would have a conversation with me about what I was learning, I would recall things better that way. Or if somebody like sat down and kind of physically showed me how to do it. So yeah, memorizing was not great for me. And I didn't flunk my way through CCD, but I also don't think that everybody was looking at me saying, oh man, this kid's on his way to sainthood or anything like that.
I don't even remember CCD, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
that shows you how my memory is. But no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of similar. Like, there's like very small snippets I'm able to remember, but not a lot of it. But yeah, prayer at first it seemed like it was like the standardized thing that they were trying to drill into you. So I never really took prayer seriously. But when I was in high school, I did have different priests try to explain to me kind of what the rhythm of prayer looked like. And they said it's like more of a conversation. It's like you're talking to me right now. That's how I want you to talk to God. And so I kind of had some seeds planted, but, I really got into praying more whenever I felt like I could be like real with God and I wasn't worried about, what should I say to God? Like, how do you talk to God? God is God and I'm just, mere mortal. How do I talk to the divine that way? Yeah.
What did it look like for you in prayer to be real with God?
I mean, for me, it was just, I'm a pretty deep level person. I don't do well with surface level connections. So like for me to really be friends with somebody, like I need to get to know like the meat and potatoes of like that person. And
yeah, you're not a small talk guy.
No, I'm not. If I'm in a situation with small talk, you've probably seen me in like a situation where there's a lot of people around. I just kind of go off to a corner and I'm just kind of posted up and
head down, just like
head down in my own headspace.
Yeah. And you're very something I was surprised. We're getting a little off topic, but that's okay. But
it'll tie off together.
Something I was very surprised at when I first met you was like, yeah, this guy's quiet. But then I got to know you, and I'm like, oh no, he's very good at socializing and things. He just chooses to kind of sometimes escape,
Yeah, and I notice that my energy levels are kind of brought up when I'm with people that really know me. But if I'm around like a huge group of people and it's a lot of people that don't know me, I just feel absolutely exhausted. So yeah, with me, like praying was just being able to talk to God as like if he really knew me or really knew me. And I think that didn't really come around until I really understood that God knew me intimately better than I knew myself. With me, God always worked more with things kind of going on in life. I know different people, they talk about God giving them these like immaculate consultations or signs or, these crazy things. For me, that never really happened. God really spoke in the ordinary, but he spoke in an ordinary way that he knew I would really understand and really take to heart. So, I kind of like got in that place where I was like, okay, God, like I want to pray, but I don't really know like what this is, what it looks like. And he kind of started like just giving me like little invitations throughout the day. He would like open up like spots of time where, I was like, man, like I got all my work done for school. I got, all my other responsibilities taken care of. And then, I went to St. Vincent, so there was always a chapel on the way there, and you'd always be staring the chapel down. And so it was kind of like Jesus was always like popping his head through the chapel doors, just kind of like,
yeah, you gonna say hi to me today?
Yeah, you're gonna say hi to me today. So, it was part conviction, but it was also partly just him opening doors for me to like, come and talk to him.
Let's touch on conviction. I would almost call it motivation too, just to bring in the fitness element of it. But we'll get into fitness and then we'll go into prayer because I think those two are correlate very well.
Yeah, they're very much married together.
But with physical fitness, why do you think people struggle with consistency?
I think the big thing is that they don't really understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, similar to how when I was trying to establish a prayer life, not really understanding what prayer was and why I was doing it. They just would, they being people in CCD would always just say, yeah, you need to say your prayers. You need to say your Our Fathers, your Hail Mary, like, but I'm like, okay, what's this Hail Mary or this Our Father doing? How am I like getting to know God more with this? And once that clicked for me, it helped me to kind of get some momentum going with prayer. With fitness, I think people really need to have an idea and an understanding for why they're doing what they're doing. So whenever I have a new client that comes to me, I sit down with them and I kind of ask them point blank, like, okay, what's your expectations for working out? Like, what do you think is going to happen to you when you start working out? Sometimes their expectations are tempered and I have to like, raise them a little bit. Sometimes they're through the roof and it's like, okay, hold on, we got to bring them down a little.
You're not going to have 6-pack abs in a week.
Yeah, it's not, 6-pack abs in 14 days is not going to happen. But I think once I really talk to them and establish what that why is, why they're looking to be more physically fit, I'm able to communicate with them better. So I would say my biggest success story, this is a guy who had never really lifted a weight before. He did a lot of martial arts, but he's about 70-something years old now.
Wow.
And the reason he came to me and initially started was he didn't have any mobility. Like he couldn't pick his shoulder. It was really painful to lift up his shoulder. He had a knee replacement and he had lost mobility in his legs. And he was just like noticing as he was going through martial arts, he couldn't put as much time into the sessions he was going to, and he couldn't move like he used to. Mm-hmm. And so those were two huge things for him. And, he was just coming to me and he's like, hey, like I really love martial arts. I want to keep doing it, but I also need to get my body back to the point where it's mobile, where it can move good. And, I was able to sit down with him and be like, okay, you know what you need. Now I'm going to provide you the answers and get you to where you're going. Mm. Now he can pick his arm up over his head. It took a while, but he can do that now. His leg mobility is really good. He's leg pressing. He's getting close to 300 on the leg press. And he's a dude
70 years old.
He's getting closer to 80, so I don't know.
Gosh.
I don't necessarily prime on how close he is to 80, but he's getting up there in age. But But yeah, for everybody, that why is going to be different. Some people, they get started initially because they want better performance in their job and they're noticing their energy levels are down. Some people have aspirations where they want to have the summer vacation look. Whatever it is, you kind of have to work with that initial why, and then you're able to kind of teach them as you go along about your body, about mobility, why it's important to have muscle mass, how diet plays into all of that. And yeah, it's similar to prayer. Like whenever I got started with prayer, it was like pretty basic, and I would just sit there. I'd be like unloading on God about my day. And then the monks at St. Vincent were able to get a hold of me and be like, okay, you're doing this. Now let's try this. Let's temper this. Here's the serenity prayer. Let's try surrendering some things. And, I look at just like how I grew in prayer and how my clients are growing physically, how I grew physically. Like it's a very, very similar path. So, yeah, I always tell people of faith, it's very hard to devoid fitness and your prayer life just because there's so many similarities. And if you're able to get like pretty good at one and get a solid foundation, chances are you're going to get a pretty good solid foundation with the other too.
I mean, just look at the correlations though. Like prayer usually is just like starting simple is always a good idea. Fitness, you can't walk in and lift, you can't join the 1,000-pound club right away. No. A lot of people can't even do that. I can't join the 1,000-pound club.
Yeah.
Myself, but it's just like there's goals need to be attainable. And I feel like people, especially our generation, wants that quick fix. Like, let me do something quick to get the results I want so that I can be fulfilled. And that's like prayer is not that way either. Like God wants a relationship. He doesn't want you to use him as like a, magical genie,
Yeah.
And I just, I see the direct correlation. And I think especially today, like even when I'm anxious, like everyone struggles with different things, but I find when I like really work hard in the gym, like after a long day at work or after like I've been thinking about something and I need to get something off my mind, like when you're lifting those weights or you're running or you're doing whatever the activity is, it flushes out all of that garbage, all of that like anxiety, all of that whatever lies you're getting told. It's just it flushes it all out, and it's actually just a reset.
Yeah, it's a pretty big reset.
Yeah, and my schedule right now is like lifting after work, then going to pray, and I find that like I'm tired, but when I go pray and I'm kind of exhausted from the gym, it just like lets me decompress in front of God, so that all those crazy thoughts I've already kind of worked out, and now I need to just let him enter in, you know what I mean, after doing that physical exertion, physical activity. So
yeah, for me it's kind of like the bookend of my day. So my day starts with prayer and ends with the working out. But
you do it crazy though, like 4 hours in the gym, bro.
I try not to talk about it a lot because like it sounds a lot more than it is, but I've also been working out since I was 14, so I'm not going to tell my age, but it's been like close to 20 years now that I've been working out consistently in the gym. So once you get to a certain point, the grind isn't as hard on you compared to like when you're starting out. Like when you're starting out, you can't handle a lot of weightlifting because your body is not used to it. Any little amount of weightlifting is going to create stimulus for muscle growth. And it doesn't take a lot to get progress in that beginning stage.
Why do you think diet is important?
So,
well, obviously it's important. Let me rephrase the question. I think people a lot of the times think that it's like, oh, I can have like several cheat days and it's fine. And like, and you want to live, like you want to be able to go out and like have a pizza, like be with your friends, whatever. Like there's a fine line between obsession and almost like mediocrity. Like you want to be right in the middle where you're free to do what you want to do, especially in fitness, but you don't have to be obsessed with it, and that takes away from your peace, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's one thing I try to emphasize with people because I think the temptation with fitness, whether your goal is weight loss or muscle gain, people get obsessed with numbers, whether it's body fat, the weight number on the scale. Yeah, it can become obsessive where you're just focusing on those numbers and you become blinded to all the other improvements and progress that you're getting and all the good signs that your body is giving you that what you're doing is actually working.
What are some of those signs?
Better energy levels. A lot of people who are not exercising, and actually this is like probably the biggest problem that I see with people that come to the gym and they've never had like a diet plan or any type of training program. They typically aren't eating a lot. I've had to sit down with a lot of people and be like, okay, the reason you're at where you're at is your metabolism is broken and you've been in starvation mode for a long time. And they sit there, they look at me like, what do you mean? And we've gotten to a place in our culture where we think eating less is going to keep our weight down. And what actually happens is your body goes into starvation mode. It holds on to every last ounce of like body fat that you have because it doesn't know when it's getting its next meal. And it starts breaking down your muscle to use for energy because the quickest thing your body can break down for energy is carbs is number one, protein's number two, and then fat is the last thing your body goes to for energy because that's like your energy store for whenever you can't get a meal or something like that.
Fat's number. Wait, can you go over that order again?
So your body initially wants to start breaking down your carbohydrates and your sugar levels first.
Isn't that fat though? Like
No, so your body fat is your energy stores. Carbohydrates is like the main thing that your body runs off of. So if you think of like foods that have like your sugars, I would basically like you have to think of it too, like when you're starting to work out. So like the carbohydrate is kind of like the primer, or like if you're driving a tractor, it's like the choke that you need to use to kind of get the engine moving. And then what your body will do is it will go for the next energy source that's kind of available. And with protein, I always tell people that typically your body wants to use that to repair. But if you don't have enough food, you don't have enough carbohydrates, other things in your body that it can use for energy, it'll dip into your protein stores.
I thought my understanding was it's always like if I didn't eat for like, I don't know, let's just say 2 weeks or something, like wouldn't I lose my body fat before my body really starts breaking down my muscle?
No, well, again, it depends on how long.
We're gonna get comments in here like you guys are idiots.
Who are these guys? Do they actually know what they're talking about? But so what it actually depends on is how long you've gone without eating, how long you've gone with eating a certain amount of food. Like, and I guess when I'm talking to these people and they finally start tracking what they're eating and putting eyes on like how much they're eating, they're only getting like 830 calories, 1,000 calories a day. Toddlers eat more than that in a day. And so your body, if a toddler eats somewhere between like 800 and 1,000 calories and you're a full grown adult and you're putting in the same amount as a toddler, you're not going to be able to function very well. And yeah, so kind of going through the how your body goes through and burns energy and what it uses for energy. It's mainly your body fat that I'm talking about, that's the last thing it wants to dip into. And the reason is because it takes longer for it to convert that fat into energy. It takes, and I'm not going to remember the exact amount of time, but if I'm remembering correctly, it takes somewhere around like 30 seconds or something like that to convert carbohydrates into energy, 1 to 2 minutes for protein, and then fat is like whenever you're doing more prolonged exercise, it'll start using body fat. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess like that's the simplest
makes
way.
sense.
That's the simplest way to break it down.
Yeah. I thought my understanding was carbs are stored as fat in your body. Like as like if like
Yeah.
So
So that is true too. So if you overdo it and you consume, this is where like it's on the you consume too much spectrum.
yeah.
If you consume more than what your body's able to burn, it will take whatever it is, whether that's fats, carbs, protein. Any extra is getting stored as body fat. So it doesn't really matter like what the source is. If it's extra, it's going to get stored as extra fuel for later on.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't think of body fat as like, oh, it's like purely made up of carbohydrates or purely, it's just excess food that you don't use to get through the day. And it's excess energy basically.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're on a little tangent, but
yeah. Getting into the finer things of anatomy.
Did you get like a screen up here, just like Chat GPT?
I need like a little like whiteboard or something over here.
You got the fats, you got the protein, and you got the carbs. Yeah, that's super interesting. And I definitely tend to agree with you because I think at some points, I mean, it goes back to the like excessiveness. You know, like you could be excessive in, in anything, and that could be like you could think you're being excessive in a good thing, like starving yourself or something to get like rid of body fat, which you would eventually get rid of your body fat, but it's like it's not healthy, you know. And I think it's trying to find that quick fix, where in reality nothing good really comes easy, and it's not easy to starve yourself, but it's like I think at the end of the day, when I think of fitness or even correlated to prayer, it's like, hey, how can I stay consistent every day and maybe just do like a little thing every day if that's all you can do. But that compounds and it just creates habits, which is I think the most important.
And that's how virtue's created too. So virtue,
I don't know anything about that. I'm just talking about working out.
Yeah, you're just a heathen. You don't know anything about virtue.
Virtue, huh?
What is this virtue? What is this virtue you speak of? But yeah, I mean, like that's essentially what virtue is compounding habits, and it's the medium between two excessives. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do you see those excessives a lot in new clients when they first come to the gym, and you kind of have to like, I know you mentioned this before, but you kind of have to level set your clients and stuff. And is that a challenge because they kind of get butthurt about that, or are they just kind of like, okay, like I get it,
I think once they get going and they start actually putting movement to it, they understand. A lot of what they come in with is misinformation, and unfortunately, there's
a lot of that out there.
Yeah, there's TikTok, Instagram. There's a lot of places where people can just post anything and not really have any good solid information behind it, and unfortunately, in the training sphere, what ends up happening is if you look like you're in shape and you have six-pack abs or whatever, people tend to take you more seriously than if you look like a more normal person. So yeah, that's kind of like the plus and minus about being a personal trainer is like if you don't look the part, people aren't going to hire you. But
why would they?
Yeah,
I still don't get that with doctors, by the way. Like, no offense to doctors, but like if I'm hiring like a doctor for like just a regular like pediatric doctor, why would I hire a fat doctor?
Yeah, somebody that isn't putting their practice or practicing what they preach.
Yeah, like I
don't
know. I thought about that the other day. I'm like, it's like hiring a dentist with like crooked teeth or something.
I mean, my dad always used the example of you don't want to eat food from a skinny chef.
Yes.
So I mean, it's a lot of the same type of thing. Like, you don't want somebody that isn't practicing the message that they're trying to preach. And yeah, like I kind of agree with that with trainers, but unfortunately, sometimes like. You don't know this yet because you're not past 30. But the further you get past 30, the harder and harder it can be to kind of stay in shape, because when you're like in your 20s and you're Gumby, your bones are flexible and they're not fused together, and your metabolism's running great, you don't have to worry about like the extra pounds and stuff like that. But
I don't know about that, man. I mean, hey, I eat like a whole pizza from Milano's. I feel pretty fat.
Well, yeah, I think most people would.
Like, I gotta go work that off. But
Max is over here doing the man versus food challenges.
dude, that was such a classic show.
And that's another guy who had to change things and get fit, or else he was going to be on all type of heart stuff,
Yeah.
Lipitor and whatever.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I see where you're going with that. But it's like, I think that no matter what your age is, though, that motivation and that determination to be a better version of yourself
Yeah.
has to be rooted. This is going to sound strange, but it has to be rooted in a motivation that's less about yourself and more about like well-being for the sake of others. I think is such a better motivation. Like to be, like, if, you know, I'm going to the gym because I want to like be better, you know, want to look great. But at the same time, I think I would love to go to the gym. So I'm like I'm an example to others, to my brothers, to future family, like just to be fit.
Yeah.
I think already puts you ahead of a lot of people, and just the fact of like, hey, you know, I know that guy, I know he's motivated, like, and I know I can, you know, I think it's an aspect of trust too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, once I got past the how I look phase of fitness and it became about kind of how you feel and how your life is moving, one of my actual biggest motivators was my grandfather. Now, I don't know if you've met my grandfather, but
I think I did like briefly at your 30th birthday party.
Yes. Yeah. He was there. Yeah. But he was one of my biggest motivators because he was retired whenever I was a kid. And a lot of people, when they retire, they start doing less. They start relaxing more. They're not moving as much. He was always up and moving. He was teaching us how to shoot a basketball, how to throw a ball. Like, he was just always up and moving. And I know it's not great PR for me, but he used to joke and say, I built this body without lifting a weight or running a mile. But he just like...
Great genetics.
Yeah, I don't know if it's all genetics. Remember, he was 5'8" and he was nutrition depleted. But his secret was he like just kept moving. He refused to just sit down. And like I looked at him as a kid and as a teenager. I was like, man, when I have like grandkids, like I want to be teaching him how to shoot a basketball. I want to be running around with him. I don't want to be reclined to a chair, just taking it easy. And, you know, once you kind of start down that path, you're like, okay, well, like I want to do the like same as a father. So like, what kind of father am I going to be like? Am I going to be the father that's sitting in the recliner after work with beer in my hand doing 12-ounce curls all day watching the game, or am I going to be active and involved with my kids? So yeah, it has a direct correlation with your life and your ability to be attentive to those around you and to actually help other people too, because and I've helped however many people move, so like it's helped me help others. Probably more so than I wanted it to, because when you have a truck and when you are able to lift things, you get called all the time to help people move. But yeah, like it helps with your capability to help others and to, you know, be attentive to others.
Well, just even, and you know, it's obviously like I have a perspective of like you pass like 45, 50, you know, the world's your oyster. You want to do what like. I don't know. Like you've earned the right to be a little. You earned the right to be a little.
Dues,
you earned the right. But I think that you like being, you know, just in shape or like being more active in general just helps with your the perception. You know, it's like I want not really like I don't care how people look at me, but like
wait till you're engaged. There's. I think I saw this one. Kevin Hart was doing this as a part of his stand-up, and he said something along the lines of like, or no, somebody asked him why he stayed in shape is what it was. And he said, well, when you get up in the morning and you're married, you never want to hear that come from your spouse. And basically that is like, man, like you let yourself go. Look at yourself. What have you become? Like you never want to hear that just like,
Yeah.
So, like you want to like make like we kind of said, it's going back to other people. You want to stay in shape so that you're capable of doing things for other people. But yeah, for me, kind of going into that venue of like, I never want to hear that dreaded like, ugh, like, like you really let yourself go.
Yeah, yeah. How do you find motivation in just your own personal life with working out?
Yeah, so I think it's like evolved over time. Initially, when I started out, I had a lot of bodybuilders that were inspiration. I really drew inspiration from two guys in particular. As I matured, it was Steve Reeves and Frank Zane. So Steve Reeves was a bodybuilder before, they started using enhancements to build muscle. But he was kind of one of the last line of natural bodybuilders to really do it. And, it really, like everything that he did with like the weightlifting and the bodybuilding, it spread out into like all other aspects of his life. So he became a pretty famous movie figure. He was the first guy to play Hercules in film.
Oh.
He has a pretty famous scene where like he's in chains and he breaks the chains and then he wraps the chains around the poles, or not poles, like they're huge, like ancient, like pillars. And then like you just see him straining and he pulls the pillars down. And so like, in order to do that in a movie, you got to look like you can actually do it. But yeah, like he had that help him to define his job after bodybuilding. But then he also owned a ranch, had horses, really kept up with life well into his 70s. And so like I kind of looked at that perspective and was like, whatever I do, like I want my fitness and like what I'm able to do to like, I want everything to kind of flow from that, including prayer and that discipline that you build in fitness is built in prayer too. So yeah, I kind of like had him as a motivator for a while, but then, now that like I'm starting to move into a new phase of like married life, the whole idea is to be able to pass things down to my kids and to be able to be there for my future spouse. Fun fact for people that are getting to that point where they're thinking about having kids, a lot of people, they don't really understand how much impact the dad has in like the effect of like pregnancy. But the dad's health actually helps with the health of the placenta. So that's where the baby gets all the nutrients from. And it also helps with how much morning sickness and how much early on pain that the wife has. How good of shape you are or how out of shape you are is going to determine how sick she gets. So if you're out of shape, man, your wife's not going to be happy with you when she's having all the morning sickness. So I'm not saying I'm going to be able to take that all away, but like I want to like do the best I can to make sure that that's minimalized. And then, what you pass on to your kids too. So they also found that when you work out and when you're in shape, you give your kids a better chance to have better health in terms of not getting diabetes or, immune issues, immune diseases. So like, even if that runs in your family, if you're like really able to commit yourself, be like, okay, like despite these things, I'm going to get into shape. I'm going to get into the best health that I can get into. You might be able to help prevent passing that down to your kids. It's not like an exact science of like, why certain kids get it and other kids don't in terms of like, if they took two dads that like had autoimmune and like they were both in shape, one kid gets it, the other doesn't. They don't exactly know what contributes, but it can help lessen contributing to passing down autoimmune disease and things of that nature. So like your health, like as a dad actually does matter and like it's passed on to your kids and it affects your wife in pregnancy.
Yeah, I don't know enough to refute that point or agree, so I'm just gonna agree with you for the time being. But that sounds right.
Yeah,
that's
I learned about that.
Ah, thank you, Bethany.
Thinking human development.
She's
Bethany,
got
Bethany AI over there.
she's got the AI going fact checking all this as I'm talking.
No, we don't have service in here. It's just up. It's up in the dome. That was a weird noise. But it was funny. I with the whole fatherhood thing, I was listening to Jelly Roll on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he recently lost like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Without any Ozempic or any like weight loss thing. And,
Dude's a beast.
Yeah, and he was talking about it, and he's a very emotional guy.
Yeah.
But he was saying like, he was like, Joe, you know, I was 520 pounds. Like I couldn't even get up out of bed. Like I was, you know, he was like, my sex life was terrible. I would fall asleep on my arm, and I was afraid I couldn't get, like, my arm couldn't get back out under me.
Yeah.
And he was such an inspiration even for like me, because he was talking about like when he started, he would try to do all these things all at once. Like I need to, you know, everyone loves to make a plan, and like this, it's this like crazy plan. They get obsessed in the moment, and then they're like, and then they fall short after a couple weeks or something, or after a couple days, because it was just too much right away, and they want too much right away. But with Jelly Roll, he was just like, dude, I just started walking.
Yeah.
Like I walked a mile, I walked 2 miles, I walked 3, like, and then he's like, I saw a hill, and I hated going up that hill because I was freaking 450 pounds, but I just did it anyway.
Yeah.
And little by little, he just said he started progressing and started seeing progress, and seeing that progress was so like life-giving to him. And particularly one memory he said he had is he went out running or walking or running in the rain, and he was coming back to his house, and he saw all of his family outside like cheering him on.
Yeah.
And he like said he like broke down in the podcast. He even started crying. He's like broke down. He was like, man, like I like my family like has been seeing me struggle with this my whole life, has been seeing me say I'm going to get healthy, I'm going to get in shape, and then failing and failing and failing and relapsing into obesity, relapsing into eating disorders or whatever it is. And he said like that moment it clicked for him, like my family cares so much about me, like even if they think I'm going to fail or like I failed 10 times before, they're still going to be there for me. And I was like, damn, like that's real true motivation, I think, because it's not about him anymore. It's about his family loving him receiving that love and reciprocating it through his actions of getting healthy. You know?
And that stemmed from his prayer life and his like reversion back to faith.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny. He talked about like God, and he's like, Joe, you know, God's got something special, man. He's like, and like whenever God gets brought up in Joe Rogan's podcast, you could tell he's like, yeah, you know, he's like he gets a little. He's like, yeah, man, you know, I think
gets a little bit
there's
of the willies.
Yeah, there's something good about that, you know, like because he's so good at like when he disagrees with someone, he'll tell him, and then when he agrees, he'll tell him. But he's always very good at just like letting someone share.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, we're getting off topic, but I thought it was super beautiful to see Jelly Roll's whole like faith conversion coupled perfectly with his fitness conversion as well. And that the journey was very difficult for him, of course, but he fell in love with the difficulty because he knew he was doing something good, and it was affecting his family.
And the one thing I actually wanted to bring up was the hardest part of that journey is the start. And like once you start, each day gets a little bit easier and easier and easier. And that's the one thing that like I always like try to encourage my clients with. And my grandma always had this saying, like, you always have just one first day. And she would always tell me that whether I was starting a new job or going to, I think she told me that when I went to college, you know, you only have one first day. Basically saying like that first day might be tough, but you only have one. And every day after that is going to get a little bit easier and easier and easier. So that's kind of like what I always try to tell my clients, like this first workout that we have, it's probably going to feel like the toughest workout that you have compared to like everything else that's going to come after this. But the consolation is once you start, it's going to get easier. You're going to see results. I can tell you you're going to see results because I'm, you know, watching the program like a hawk, and I can't watch them at home like a hawk when they're eating. But
binoculars.
Yeah, just like there's these binoculars.
I see you eating those Doritos.
Well, I wish I could tell Bridget that sometimes because I can't tell you how many times I'm like, you got to track your macros. You got to get in the habit of knowing how much you eat. And she just kind of like blows me off. But
proud of you, Bridget. No, wait, let's get into that for a second. The macro counting, because that's.
Yeah, I know that was a hot button for you for a while. And it took a while for me to get you on that.
Well, I've been doing it on and off, but at the same time, I think when I do all that, like tracking my macros, like you see results very quickly and it's like very good for you. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm going out and having a beer on a Saturday with my little brother and I'm having a couple pieces of pizza and I'm not tracking that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get so pissed off because I'm like, sorry for the swearing, but it is what it is.
Did you work out the day before?
Yeah.
Man, you're killing your protein
I
synthesis.
know. Your little voice in my head, it's like, you're killing your protein synthesis, man. But, you know,
You're
at the
killing
end
your
of the
recovery.
day, yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to like, if I was super unhealthy, it'd be different. But, like, I'm not going to let my, I have kind of an obsessive brain. Like, when I start something, I want to, like, just figure it out and do it all the time and like master it. But then
You want to be really good at it, just
Yeah.
like I think anybody.
yeah, but then you got to let it go and kind of reorient. I have to reorient myself. It's like, no, I'm out with my brother. Like, I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna enjoy myself. Because it just provide like, again, it's a fine line when you allow yourself to just be with people, be your like, and not like not get drunk, not do all these other, but just let yourself go, be, like, and kind of even set with the other person. It allows for such deeper conversations, I think, and especially it helps to stimulate an atmosphere of trust, I think. But that's just, and that's all in regularity. You know, like you can't, I'm not going to be drinking 7 days a week and then working out 7 days a week because that's stupid. But like, it all has to be regulated. You know.
So to curb the obsessiveness, kind of like getting back to the conversation about clients being really attentive to their body fat and being attentive to the weight on the scale. I always tell my clients, if you're good like 80% of the time, that 20% is not going to kill you too much. And I think like for your average Joe, that 80-20 rule really works and kind of gives them the space to, you know, some people it's like, you know, football on Sunday is like the one time that they want to have that beer or, you know, I hear from Braden. So you guys like to go out on Saturdays. It seems that Saturdays is kind of like
Saturdays is the pool day. We're getting in the pool, man.
Yeah. Saturday is the pool day where you go to the beer hall and you drink and you play pool. So I tell people is like, if you're good 80% of the time, you know, you're going to be like, okay to like let go of that 20%.
Yeah.
It's when that 80% of letting, like if you're 80% letting go and you're only trying to restrain yourself 20% of the time, that's where it's going to be an issue. But yeah, if you're able to live by that rule, I think for most average, like your average ordinary person, like you're still going to get the benefits of working out. You're still going to get what you're looking for. But at the same time, you're going to be able to like still feel like you're living life and you're not super restrictive. Now I know I'm a psycho and I don't, you know, I've chosen not to really drink a ton and I've chosen to really watch my macros. And I think that's part of the reason I'm a trainer is, you know, I'm for whatever reason, I'm psycho in that way. And that's
Well, I think you have to be if you're going to be a personal trainer. Like,
like
if that was my job, I'm making a total excuse right now. Like I get it though. Like you want, like that's your brand, and like again, like if you're telling your clients to do something you're not doing, then and they figure that out, or even if they don't figure that out, that would bother me. You know, it's like, hey, I'm telling people to track their macros and I'm not tracking my macros. Like that'd be tough, you know?
Yeah. And that's kind of the one thing with this MyFitnessPal tool that I utilize. Whenever like I get permission to, you don't technically get permissions from the system to monitor your client, but basically you friend them and you can see like when they're like logging their food and stuff. Yeah. Well, they could do the inverse with me. They can be like, okay, I logged my food today. Let me take a look at Michael and see what he logged. Let me see it. And so like there's that transparency of like, you know, I'm seeing what they're eating. I can see what they're doing, but they can also see what I'm eating and doing on my end. Nobody's really busted me for it yet. Nobody's really been like, hey, how come I didn't see you log on Friday? But, you know, I feel like if somebody like really wanted to, like they could probably hold me accountable in that way. Yeah. But, so like I kind of feel like you were talking about like a sense of duty to be able to show them that I'm actually utilizing this tool as well, and I'm doing what I'm asking them to do. And that was a big thing my dad told me is he's like, yeah, if you're not willing to do something, don't ask somebody else to do it.
Wise words to live by, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of great mentors in my life, and, kind of everything that I am right now is a conglomeration of effort that, people put into me, from my father, to my mentor, Chris. Shout out to Chris. He's a physical therapist, and he taught me a lot about what I know now, and like really helped give me that extra push to actually be a trainer. Cause I dealt with a lot of self-doubt and a lot of, I don't know if I can make it as a trainer. There's a lot of unknowns diving into that world. How am I going to be? Like, am I going to get super obsessive? Am I going to be a worse person doing this? So I had a lot of questions and a lot of fears about jumping into that venue. And, my mentor, Chris, really pushed me into it. And he's like, man, you can do this. And not only can you do it, but you're going to help a lot of people doing this.
I think you bring up a good point of, I hate to use the word buddy system, but it's
it's you need a workout buddy. Every time I've had a workout buddy, you have that sense of accountability. But my workouts were just also better because I could push myself farther and I could do it in a safe way. So I guess we can just jump into that, why you should maybe have a training partner too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because I enjoyed training with people because it's good to have a spot and good to get negative reps and stuff.
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoy working out by myself. I think I was more so saying for me personally, I enjoy knowing friends that also are motivated to be healthy because you can be honest with them when you're slacking and they motivate you hey, got to get back in it hey, let's go work out right now, or hey, I just me and my brother's doing this thing where I just kind of texted him a month ago. I was like, hey guys, let's all just make sure we're really staying in shape. And I think my original text was, let's just do two things. Let's pray and let's work out. Let's make sure those two things are consistent as much as we can. And I get it. Life's crazy. And anyone watching this, it's somewhat one of the hardest things is to be consistent. Yeah. And especially I'm young. My life's easy right now. I don't have kids. It's I don't have a bunch of kids running around. I don't have all these responsibilities like a father would have.
Yeah.
And so I get I'm sure I can sympathize with that. Life is so busy. And if you're a 40-year-old father and you're, if you have your own business, if you're doing whatever, life gets in the way. But I think that's why, back to my brothers, it's keeping it simple. Let's just pray. If pray means you pray a decade of the rosary every morning or every night, or you pray night prayer in the breviary every morning or every night, and you do 100 push-ups. That's what it is. Do what you can do. Don't do what you can't do.
Well, and the fact that you're doing that now is going to pay dividends for whenever you get to that point. And this is just kind of a little tiny dip into my vocation story, but I think it kind of, it really emphasizes the point that you're making. I was a pretty impatient person. Whenever I was going through that single part of my life, I would do things and try to do things to better myself. But I was always in the back of my head, oh, I just can't wait to get out of this stage of life. Oh, I'm getting so tired of it. But, looking back now, it's all that stuff that I did, it was all preparation for where I'm at now. So those habits that you're forming, the things that you do then, because I think the point you're making is whenever you throw other people into your life, it gets a lot harder.
Yeah.
And so establishing those habits, establishing a life of prayer, a life of health, a life that's moving towards that, whatever your vocational goal is, whether it's a priest taking care of a whole flock, a church, or if you're moving towards fatherhood, just really taking that time of preparation seriously and really letting God work and mold you. And I know with me there were things that I didn't I did things and I didn't really understand why, but sometimes it's 10 years later that you really figure out and you understand why you had to go through and you had to do something. So yeah, I just want to encourage all the guys out there that are single, that are still trying to figure out their vocation, or maybe they figured it out, but the process isn't maybe moving as fast as they wanted it to. What you're doing now matters. You might not see what God is doing to prepare you, but everything you do now has a direct correlation effect to what kind of father, priest,
Anything.
whatever you're going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. How long have we been going?
Hour 15.
Oh, we were trying to only get an hour because your fiance is actually probably praying in the chapel right now. I wanted to show her around. But.
Well, I mean, it's good because, we need all the prayer we can get. Like,
Yes.
especially when I'm locked in a room with you, man, I need all the prayer I can get.
You know what? I'll accept that. I'll accept that. But yeah, I love that you ended on that little motivational piece because I think, regardless of where you're at in life, taking care of the body that you've been gifted by God and your parents, no matter what circumstance you are in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't have to have six-pack abs. You don't have to be this jacked person. But
No,
what is taking care of your body mean to you?
Yeah.
And how can you do that today?
Yeah, and again, going back to our wise mentor that we share, he would always say, it's not your yearly bread, it's not your weekly bread, it's your daily bread. It's what are you doing today? How's God taking care of you today? Mm-hmm. And focusing on those things, not worrying about the week, not worrying about the month, the year, just day by day. And I guess that's been the theme of kind of like the whole episode today. It's a day by day process. It's the ordinary, and really honing in and being comfortable with the ordinary, because like that's ultimately, I think, where you find God too, is just in the ordinary. That's where I found him in my life, is just those ordinary moments. That's where like I've always felt him most present, where I've just really seen him most at work.
Beautiful, man. Well, brother, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. It's been too long. We need to make sure that...
you need to stop wedding planning and hang out with your homies.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Bridget, you didn't hear that. I'm kidding.
I mean, God bless people going through wedding planning. It sounds easier than it is.
Yeah.
Like I think half of like what you go through as a single man is to like prepare you for wedding planning.
Oh man, yeah, that's hilarious. Well, hey, by the way, shout out to Premier Paving. I know you're out there, Mr. Westlake. So shout out to your company. That's our only sponsor. Not really a sponsor, but wanted to shout them out today. And St. Paul of the Cross Monastery too. I actually have. It's on my phone. We'll post it in the description, but St. Paul of the Cross, that's the retreat center we're in right now. They let us film here. They're having a couple events coming up in March. Amazing place to just go and pray and to just meet great people too, I would think. Well, I know that, you'll be taken care of if you come here for any events or any retreats that you want to have. So, yeah, we'll put their websites and their links in the description, and please reach out to them if you ever want to have a retreat or you want to go to the events in March. So
yeah, retreats are an important part of your spiritual life too. Powering down a little bit, getting away from things.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye.